What's going on, everyone? Your mom's favorite YouTuber KK is here. Welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be ranking the 76ers roster, and yeah, we've got S tiers for the superstar players, A tier more of like secondary players, B tier role players, C tier bad players but with potential, and D tier is just bench warmers. So. Um, yeah. Before we begin, I'd like to ask you all to please subscribe and like the video if you enjoy. Doing either of those will help me out a lot. And also let me know down in the comments if there's anybody you particularly agree or disagree with. So yeah. First up, we have Furkan Korkmaz. So for Korkmaz, I'm gonna put him B tier because he is a role player in the 76ers rotation, and he's consistently in their rotation. He's usually not dropped from it, so he's gonna be B tier. And then Tyrese Maxey's also gonna be B tier. However, I'm gonna put him higher than Korkmaz because he's a rookie and he's still got a lot of potential. And I really like Tyrese Maxey. I think he's gonna be special. And then Shake Milton. I'm gonna put Shake Milton ahead of Maxey right now because he's more important to the 76ers like for this season, competing and contending. And I think he's their number one guard off the bench for offensive purposes. Then we have Vincent Poirier. He's D tier. If like I put him D tier because they could drop him and have very little effect on their championship chances. So D tier for Poirier. Same with Paul Reed, although I'll put him um, above Poirier because he still has potential. But as of now, he's not really contributing to the 76ers, so he's D tier. Next is Mike Scott. He's also going to be D tier. However, he is a veteran presence, and he is important to the squad. It's just not on the court. So I'm gonna put him D tier. Although he's still a pretty decent player, it's just that they've got better players on their team. So D tier for him. Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons. Okay, I'm gonna put him S. Um, so I'm gonna treat S as a star tier and not a superstar tier. If this was a superstar tier, he wouldn't be there. He's not a superstar. Joel Embiid is their superstar. Ben Simmons is a star, and but I'll put him S tier. Next, Matisse Thybulle. He's gonna be B tier as well. Um, he's like he's the Shake Milton, but for defense on this roster. Great defensive player. That's what he's used for. That's what they utilize him for, and he's important to this squad. So he's going B tier. Next is Rajon Tucker. Now I know they replaced him with somebody else. I forgot his name, but Rajon Tucker is gonna be D tier. He's in the G League right now. And yeah, he's not important to the squad. Tony Bradley. Tony Bradley's also gonna be D tier. However, I'll put him ahead of Paul Reed because he's utilized a bit more than Paul Reed, and they're both relatively young. Um, but yeah, they're both D tier. Seth Curry's B tier, or yeah, Seth Curry's B tier. I'm gonna put him above Shake though. Seth Curry, he's um he's their best shooter, obviously, and he is a great role player. That's like exactly what Philadelphia needed this season. They needed a shooter, and because it was difficult to manage just Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid on offense with their weird contrasting play styles, but Seth Curry is really a big part of why they are top of the Eastern Conference at the time I'm making this video. Joel Embiid, superstar, S tier, no, ahead of Ben Simmons, and yeah, that's pretty self-explanatory. My MVP pick so far this season. Terrence Ferguson, he's gonna be D tier, but ahead of Mike Scott. No, behind Mike Scott, because so far he hasn't done anything for them. He hasn't even made a shot, I believe. So He goes ahead of Poirier because he's young, and obviously, and I also liked him back when he was on the Thunder, but he just hasn't been utilized, so he's D tier. Then Danny Green. Danny Green, this is a tough one, but I'm gonna put Danny Green close to the end of B tier. Okay, I'll put him in C tier simply to fill the spot up because all five of these guys are more important to the 76ers than Danny Green. Danny Green's a good player. I'm not on the Danny Green hate train whatsoever, with everybody just hating on the guy, but he's not at as consistent as these other guys. Like Seth is clearly the more consistent guy. Shake is he's not one dimensional like Danny Green. Matisse is a great defender, which is something that none of these other guys are like as great at. Maxi is young and he's a playmaker, and Korkmaz is just a better offensive facilitator and scorer. So Danny Green's C tier, and nothing against Danny Green. I think he'd be B tier on other teams, but for this team, he's a C tier. Next, Tobias Harris, he is A tier. He's not a star player, but he's also not a role player. He's a he's a He's a good third option, and he would be a great fourth option on a championship contender. Now, he's still on a championship contender, but I don't see Philadelphia beating Brooklyn or Milwaukee or even Miami for that matter. So Tobias is going to be A tier, third best player on this team. He's had a great season, but still, he's not a star. Then we have Dwight Howard. He's going to be C tier. He's Yeah, he's not a D tier player, but he's not a B tier player either. And he's well behind Danny Green. So Dwight Howard is their backup center, but really Joel plays so great that they don't really need such a they don't really need a backup center to be that great. Just to be good enough to keep the momentum going on their side. And so Dwight Howard is going to be C tier because he's done his job. He's done his job. And so you can't fault him for that. And lastly, we have Isaiah Joe. He's going to go D tier. I'm going to put him over here. Yeah, Isaiah Joe also hasn't just done much for the 76ers. But yeah, he's D tier. But here we go. This is the tier list for the Philadelphia 76ers roster. Would I move anything around as of now? Probably not. Maybe Cork wants to see, but no, I think he's solid. So B tier. Yeah, and I don't think anybody else here is on Tobias's level. And everybody else on D tier is correct. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll keep Ben Simmons at S tier. Doesn't really matter. You could put him at A tier too, but he's a very good defender. One of the best in the league, so I'm gonna put him S tier. So yeah, that's the video. Thank you all for watching. Again, please like the video if you enjoyed. Please subscribe as well so you don't miss another one of my future uploads. And yeah, I hope to see you all next time.